In this episode, we'll learn how to align our soul's purpose. Helping us with this is a star seed coach, mentor, and the creator of 5 Steps to Alignment. Welcome to the show, Haley. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Toby. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me on this episode for a soulful conversation. And I'm looking forward to learning so much about spiritual development, about aligning to our soul's mission and purpose. These are like very, very vital topics, I believe. Yeah. And for you, you're no stranger to this because while preparing for this conversation, I was saying that earlier. I read that on your journey of spiritual development and entrepreneurial success, you were destroyed by the dream, but rebuked by it at the same time. You experienced a lot of rejections on the journey. So I don't know if you would like to share this with us, share this story with us, and how it
I
all
would
went
love
down.
to. I would love to because I think, whether it be the entrepreneurial journey or your soul's purpose, I really think that more often than not our soul's purpose is tied to an entrepreneurial journey or a business, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Uh but and so when I transitioned, because I had a very successful local business right here in Arizona. And
Mm.
then when I did my transition to online, closing my local and opening my online, that's when I really got hit hard, like took some really hard knocks.
Yeah.
Uh, I I got, infatuated essentially with a high ticket offer for a coach, right?
Mm.
And so I was like, oh, I'll do this high ticket thing, and I invested in a high ticket coach, and I learned all their strategies and I applied all their things and I gave it my all, right? But
Mm.
because I grew up in poverty, like having to go to the food bank to get food, not knowing where the next dollar was coming from, are we going to be able to pay the mortgage, things like that. I don't even know if we had mortgage, we rented too. It was like very discombobulated childhood. Um, because of that poverty consciousness, I felt wrong charging so much for my services. And so that lack of congruency and alignment within me was what had me fail so many times over and over and over and over. So these things where I failed those 208 times or got rejected 208 times before I got my first yes, those were essentially consultation calls, and they were hour long consultation calls.
Oh.
And these things, this was over the course of several months, like 8 or 9 months, where I was failing on a daily basis while investing thousands of dollars. Like in my local business, I was able to save up about 60 grand. And
Mm.
then I put all of that into this new business model, and it was failing. And I was spending thousands on Facebook ads just to get booked calls. And it was failure after failure after failure. And then I took out money, debt, to fund the business even more so that I could sustain it, right? And still
Mm.
was failing and failing and failing. And so not only did I really see financial devastation because of it, but I also lost friends and family because of it. They didn't believe in what I was doing. They were mocking what I was doing. I had to shut out anybody that was not in alignment with where I was going, because the environment and the people that you surround yourself with are essential to how much you can expand or contract, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm facing not only watching my bank account dwindle, 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 I have 2 kids, right? So it's like this is not just me I'm impacting.
Mm.
And just daily being shown the limiting parts of myself financially, like the limiting beliefs about like money is wrong, desiring money is wrong, you're spiritual, you shouldn't be charging that much, all of those
Mm.
things, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I say that I was destroyed by the dream, because it really did. All of that failure and everything really did tear me apart. I was broken,
Mm.
but I was rebuilt by it. I am who I am today. I can speak authentically about building a business, about manifestation, about pursuing your soul's purpose and mission, because that's exactly what I did. I'm not, somebody who read something in a book and can articulate it really well. I walked the journey.
Mm.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah,
So
yes.
it was rough though. It was rough.
I can imagine. And there's one thing you said that I really want us to talk about, and that's like, I thank you so much for sharing that. And you talked about, growing up in poverty, and that, molded the way you thought back then, and that affected your outcome also. And this is something that's very relatable, and also things that I've heard a lot of times from other people too, like growing up from humble backgrounds or from poverty. You don't want to demand for money because you think you don't deserve it sometimes, or you believe, yeah, you can't get it also. You have just limiting beliefs also. So how are you able to like break free from all the limiting beliefs that held you back from fulfilling your dreams?
Yeah, well, I did have a lot of training in that. So a lot of my background is in energy healing, but a very specific energy healing modality that's called theta healing by Diana Steibel. And that's all about digging into the subconscious mind to release those beliefs and then replace them with higher vibrational ones, right? So we're releasing the programming on a genetic level, because just as you can have like your father's eyes or your mom's hair, right? You pick up those personality traits as well.
Mm,
So the beliefs can also can come from you genetically, where you release them on a genetic level, a history level, so past lives, on a core level, meaning this lifetime, or on a soul level, or is it a soul lesson? Is it something bigger than this lifetime or any lifetime, right? So I was trained in a modality where that was something that was already taught to
mm.
me and I applied it. But just because you have the knowledge, you know this, Toby, just because you have the knowledge doesn't mean you're impervious to, oh, sorry. It doesn't mean
Exactly.
it's impervious to how you feel. It doesn't
Yeah.
make you impervious to feeling it, right?
Mhm.
So, I did have a coach and I did have a mentor at that time, but I was only able to reach out to them so often because they wanted their own freedom, which is totally fine. I think that the battle is really won when you are able to face it yourself,
Mm,
right? So I did a lot of asking myself questions in a journal, almost like I was having a conversation with my higher self. What am I so I'd love to actually give this to your audience. This is something that I teach that I would just love to give away, because I think everybody should have access to this type of profound trajectory altering strategy or skill.
yeah.
So you'll hear every, personal development person say that it's not what happens to you, it's the meaning that you give it, right?
Mm,
So when
yes.
you're facing challenges, when you're facing all of those things, the meaning that you attach to it is absolutely essential to whether it grows you and expands you or it's a part of your demise, right?
Mm,
So a lot of what I did during that time of facing all of my limiting beliefs and my own limitations and things like that, um, was I asked myself these three questions. And the first one is, what am I making this mean? So, first, we must identify the unconscious autopilot story that we are already telling ourselves, the one that we don't even have to think of. Like, if I got rejected, oh, this means that I'm not cut out for this. This means that I'll never have my dream, right? That's the
mm,
automatic societal, that's your parents, that's your teachers, society response, right? The
yeah.
second question is, what could this mean instead? Now, this is finding and accessing the higher vibrational meaning to what you're going through, essentially seeing it through the higher mind's eyes, or even stretching it even further, seeing it through creator's eyes, right?
Mm, yeah.
So, what am I making this mean? What could this mean instead? And then the last question is how is this getting me closer to my goal? Because challenges, entrepreneurial, spiritual, whatever have you, does not matter. Challenges are in direct response to your dream. You say, okay, I want peace. You raise your hand and you say, I want peace, or I want success. In my case, it was, I want financial success. And creator said, yes, absolutely, you can have that. First, we got to get rid of all of the stuff that is going to prevent you from experiencing and living in financial success. So what does that mean? All of those limitations go under a microscope, and you have to take a look at them. So even though it might feel like we're out of alignment, or it might feel like what we want with all of those challenges and all of that hardship is actually telling us not to pursue, really what it means is that it's a sign that your dream is actually happening. You rose your hand and you said, I want this, and said, yes, you can have that. This is what you need to overcome in order to have that, because the person that you see at the finish line is a different person than you are today, just as you're a different person than you were even a year ago, 6 months ago, if you're doing it right.
Yeah.
Last week, if you're doing it right. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So forgive me, I forgot where the what the question was there. I might have spiraled into storytelling a little bit. But that I just challenges are not telling you that you should not keep going. They're actually a sign that what you want really is coming to be. You got to find the higher meaning in it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that, and I love the way you took that answer, because when you were talking right now, I just imagined, like, from your story, you experienced 208 rejections, and that could be 200, maybe 208 things that you have to do in order to become who you are today, in order to become even much more aligned to your soul's mission and purpose in life. Like, you wanted financial freedom, you wanted financial abundance, and God said, or the Creator said, there are 208 things or steps that you have to take, and these are the rejections that will teach you those lessons, refine you in some ways, remove some things, add some things to your life in order to align you with what you want, that I want to give to you.
Yeah, exactly. And mind you, I was in a group because it was like both one-to-one and group coaching. They had a mix of both. I was in a group of people where, like, the most on average that people got no's or got rejected with these high ticket sales for coaching was like 50. It was like the
Oh,
average person would fail. So I'm like sitting here at 200 and like 200. I'm sitting here at 100. Like, what am I doing here? Why? I'm like, I'm going to pay the price for my dream. And, there probably could have still been smarter, more intelligent execution or application there. But I needed to go through that in order to be able to see it for what it is now. And then also, last thing, that was just when I got my first yes. I still got rejected and failed several months after that before I started seeing consistent income. So it was probably about 6 more months even after that. One yes, I had one yes in like probably a span of 14 months. And I kept going because the purpose, because of the dream, and because what is available to me on the other side, not just monetarily, but also in character, in spirit, in wisdom, you know?
yes, yes. But so some people might have given up after the second trial or the third rejection or the fifth rejection. So I would like to know, Ellie, like, from your experience, how can we know for sure that this is my this is my purpose, this is my mission, my soul's mission, and I'm going to stay consistent on this journey, no matter the number of rejections I get.
So say that question again.
Yes, how can we know, for example, that this is our soul's mission and purpose for sure, and also, you know, stay persistent like you were, and persevere even though we have thousands of rejections on the path.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily think the purpose itself changes. I
Hmm.
think the vehicle or the way that it's executed is what changes. So so we're just going to start with the basis that the audience already knows what their purpose is, that they already know, because that not knowing is another conversation. I'm happy to have that if you don't know what it is.
Hmm.
But let's just say for the topic that we all know what it is. You've what really, because I just recently had to pivot too. I left the high ticket arena because it was just, I read a quote that said, you were not meant to find comfort in something you were never supposed to settle in, or something to that degree, right? So Ralph Smart has said, if something doesn't manifest for you, it's because you weren't meant to have it that way. I was not meant, my purpose was not meant to be charging $5,000 for what I'm doing. I can't make as big of an impact as I want. I can't help as many people as I want. And I don't know, it seems a little bit greedy, when I have a gift that should be shared with so many people. Now, I'm not saying that won't ever happen. I won't get there, things like that. However, I just recently pivoted, right? But the purpose is still the same. I'm still using the same passion, same gifts, skills, and abilities, same, it's the same core meaning within me. But the strategy or the application or the vehicle has just changed. So I know that it's very normal for, especially spiritual, I know my industry in and out, for spiritual people, because they love to be in flow, and don't get me wrong, I love to be in flow too, we must be in flow. But when we are met with resistance, usually the average spiritual person would say, oh, this resistance means that it's not meant for me, and so then they give up too easy, when in reality that resistance is the chiseling that makes us strong, right? It's like the same with weightlifting. You don't build muscle when they're nice and comfy. The muscle's built after you break the fibers. The fibers have to break first, and then it can grow.
Yeah.
So it's, I think when you really know yourself, because you don't want to give up too easily either. I think you should give something your all for a good solid period of time. Like I gave it about 2 years and over $100,000, right? I think that's kind of a clear sign,
Yeah.
Um, but that doesn't mean I've given up on my dream. I adapted, I reflected, and I pivoted. So I'm trying a different vehicle, but with the same outcome, financially, impactfully, in service. It's the same thing and all in mind. I'm just using a different strategy now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So don't give up too easily. Be resilient, but also know when it's not your path. That's not the way to go anymore.
Yeah. I like what you said about, adapting and then reflecting and then knowing the direction to go, like pivoting. That's really vital. It's always, I think it's very essential for us on our journey, even when things are going smoothly, to take that time to reflect on the journey so far, the lessons learned, and to know what is the way forward from where we are at the moment. That's
Yeah.
really vital. Yeah. But for a lot of us, for myself included, like on the journey of, being this entrepreneurial journey or even spiritual journey, for example, sometimes I just fear that I might be going in the wrong direction. Maybe I have lack of direction. I got distracted at a point or the other. Or sometimes I just have the fear basically of being stagnant on my journey in life. So, from your experience, are there like some things we could do to overcome fear in general, or also to overcome being stagnant or losing our focus?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, stagnation is a direct reflection of focusing on the past.
Mm,
Stagnation is directly like, because there's a difference between waiting and being still, right? So when you're in flow and in trust and in surrender to the universe to allow it to come to you, you're not feeling stagnant. You're feeling the energy around you, and you're following that inspired action, that intuitive messages to take action, right?
yeah.
When we're in stagnation, usually it's because we're circling too much in the past,
Mm,
past failures, past relationships, or we're in anxiousness of the future, right? That's where also stagnation can come in as too. Those doubts, will it actually happen? Is this a pipe dream? Like only 1% make it. How am I? What makes me the special one where I'm that 1%? Let me tell you, you are the special one and you will be that 1%. You just have to choose that, right?
yes.
Relentlessly. Um, you can't give it a choice, but it's when stagnation happens, again, it's just, what are you making that mean? What is the higher purpose? What is the limiting belief that is keeping you stagnant? And then fear is a natural thing. And actually, we should never remove, like psychologically, we should never remove our fear, because it is helpful to a degree. Like, just like, um, those denser emotions, just like stress can be healthy to a degree. Fear can be healthy to a degree. Now, it's when we let fear take the wheel and dictate our decisions, right? So we want to acknowledge that fear is there, but fear gives us the opportunity to activate our courage. And then when we tap into our courage and we make a decision based on the courage rather than the fear, that not only boosts our self-confidence, our self-worth, and our self-esteem, but then we get rewarded not only with wisdom and character building, but also with the multidimensional or energetic gifts, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in fear, just know that that's natural. I get afraid, like, regularly, of certain decisions and making, doing certain things. I still have my own fears, but I don't let those, I listen to what the fears have to say from a place of observation, right? Being the observer that is observing you, and then trying to understand the real underlying, what is it that I'm truly afraid of? Because pretty much all fear is the fear of loss. And then asking, is that really true? Is it really true that I'm not going to be successful? Is it really true that this isn't going to work? Is it really true that if I spend my money on this and it fails, that I'll be worse off? It's like, usually the answer is no. You'll be fine. You'll have grown and adapted. You'll have learned valuable lessons, and everything is in divine orchestration. Absolutely everything is in divine orchestration. So when you can look at it like, even the feeling of lack, or feeling of lack of congruency, is actually showing you where you're limited so that you can grow, that's still divine. That's still in divinity, you
Yeah.
know?
That's true. I like what you said. Like everything, like we are placed on this earth for a reason, and we are going to be successful if we believe in that. That's what I understood from what you said right now. And one thing that you said earlier, also that I also believe in so much, is about connecting to the Creator. Like you talked about that earlier. And I, as a Christian, I believe once you're connected to God, for example, you speak with him, you are divine. I mean, you are destined to succeed. And once you don't allow fear of loss, fear of anything to distract you from that path, you surely fulfill your purpose in life and fulfill your destiny.
Yeah, I think that connecting to creation is so important and it's essential.
Yeah.
Um, Ed Milet talks a lot about faith, and really, so I have a different kind of association with the reason why I connect to creator. So because I'm an energy healer, because I all of the things that I do are from a multi-dimensional place, hence the star seed label, right? um I connect to creator for that protection, for that divine protection, for channeling in highest truth, because I respect the angels, like Archangel Michael and all of them, but I want to go to the source. I want to go from where our consciousness was birthed and get information from there, because I want full clarity, for full purity. And also, I think that that connection to creator allows you to see the bigger picture. It gives you the comprehension of the bigger picture. And then you also don't feel like you're so alone on your journey, because you know that there's a higher power taking care of you, even in dense hardships or hard times. You
Yeah.
know, I think having whatever it is, whether it's God, Allah, creator, source, whatever you want to call this higher being that takes care of us and lives through us and with us, being connected to that will sustain you along the journey thousandfold.
Mm. Yeah. So how do you connect with the creator? I would like to learn that. Like, how do you connect?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, everybody has access to this light. I always connect to the light, not just a light, but the light. There's a certain meditation that we go through, where we go through the different layers and the dimensions of the universe. But essentially, I just connect to where it is pure white light, because we have the layers, the dimensions here, like 5D, 7D, 9D, 13D, all of that stuff, right? So we go through the layers of the dimensions, then we pass through the laws of the universe. They have their own little dimension. And then we land in, typically, this is where everybody typically lands. It's in the creator of this universe. It's like the consciousness creator light of this universe. But I like to go to the creator of all that is, creator of all that ever has been, all that ever was, all that exists, like the birth of it all, the
Mm.
purest light. And I connect to there and get my information, get my healing. I was there just as I was talking to you about it. Get all of the information, get the channeling, get the healing. And that's what I think really, and I'm not trying to advertise here, but I really think that's what makes what I do different,
Mm.
because it's not just connecting to a light, it's connecting to the light from where
Yeah.
we all come, that highest intelligence.
Mm. Yes. Connecting to the light, gives us the opportunity to get our healing, and also even to be sure of why we are here, and also to know what to do to be able to fulfill that purpose. Yeah. He's the one that has the manual, the best, best guideline for us to live our lives, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. I
Yeah.
totally agree with you.
But when we come back to this plane, I think this is, I don't know, I think we're on the 3D plane. uh, we're a bit filled up with a lot of other activities apart from our spiritual lives, apart from spirituality. So how do we get to balance it all, like connect with the creator, and at the same time, get out of our houses, go chase our dreams, the old business of this life.
Yeah, it's all connected. It
Mm,
is the fabric that weaves the entire blanket, right?
mm,
Um, really, like, I don't know if you follow like the new earth and 5D consciousness and things like that, but connecting to creator and having that really high level, high frequency consciousness is still here and embodied even when doing the 3D mundane task things,
mm,
because it's not about what you're doing, it's who you are being while you do it. That's why not everybody who practices yoga is peaceful, enlightened, and joyful, right?
yeah.
That's why not everybody who meditates is peaceful, joyful, enlightened, and at a Buddha level,
Mm,
right? Because it's not about the tool, it's not about the strategy, it's not even about the mundane tasks of paying bills or taking out the garbage or washing the dishes
mm,
or folding laundry, right? It's not
yeah.
about any of those things. Those things are just external stimulus in this matrix, this holographic matrix that we live and exist in,
Mm,
right?
yes.
We bring, because the power is in our mind and our heart, right?
Mm,
So we bring and embody this higher, unconditionally loving consciousness to us. And that's what makes the difference between paying bills in a like, oh, I have to get this done, or thank goodness I have bills to pay, because there are people who don't have bills to pay or can't afford to pay their bills,
mm,
right?
that's true.
It's this, you can still have fun even sitting at the DMV. You can have fun still doing, like, I just moved, so I had to switch all of my credit cards and all my debit cards, the addresses, the mailing addresses, right? And I could see where I was starting to get frustrated because it's like things aren't easy, right? They make it very complicated. I was like, who am I being while I do this? Do I want to have this experience while doing this mundane task, or do I want to bring my 5D light creativity, fun, and gratitude to this? And so the soul's purpose is directly intertwined with your higher self, with God, with creator, directly. The 3D mundane tasks are a part of this density in this life, right? I think that, when we are God, with God, we are pure, right? And then as we filter down through the dimensions and as we filter down into the different densities, like Earth, the 3D plane is pretty dense. That's where all that fragmentation takes place, so that different characteristics show up, like an introvert and an extrovert, or a scientist and an actress or a performer. Right? So the farther we are away from that pure source of light and creation, the more density we have, and therefore also this reality, if we're going woo woo here outside of, Christianity, Earth is really, and Dolores Cannon said it best, that this earth is really a school for souls. And it's not just for any souls. The fact that you are here means that you are already a highly intelligent soul and being, because this is not for the weak. This is not for the emotionally immature, right?
Yes.
We are here to learn how to master not only ourselves, but master energy. And obviously, we master energy by mastering ourselves. And, mastering, I don't know if we ever truly master ourselves. There are different layers of development in that self mastery at all times, every time. But the more that we understand ourselves, because it all starts here first, because this is just feedback to what's going on in here. That's it. That's
Yes.
it. So the more that we can have mastery over self, knowing of thyself, then the more that you have that ability to call in or bring in that higher light to those more 3D mundane tasks. But they're all,
Yeah,
we're here at
connected.
Earth School, we're the real deal here at Earth School.
That's very true. Yeah. And I love what you said. It all starts in the head. It all starts in the mind, basically. And it starts with mastery of self, like knowing who you are. And that helps you, in every other area of your life. And how do you best know who you are is when you're connected to the creator, you're connected to the light. It
Yeah.
helps you to know exactly who you are. You might think you know who you are, but you might be wrong until you're connected to the source of light, to the emperor of the universe. That's when you can know who you truly are. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
I love that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I want you to tell us about your services, about your coaching program. How can we connect with you? How can we work with you?
Yeah. So right now, I am hosting Patreon. So it's spiritual mentorship and coaching, and it's a monthly subscription, group-based live trainings. I really would recommend starting the Patreon first. It's less than a Netflix subscription. So this way you get a taste of what I do. You get a taste of what it's like to work with me. You get a taste to see if really I can help you, because I know I'm not here to help everybody. I'd like to help everybody, but my specific perspective is meant for only certain people. And so Patreon, I would start by working with me there. And then if you wanted to work one-to-one after experiencing me in Patreon, then we could schedule a call to have a more one-to-one relationship and coaching experience. But I'd recommend everybody follow me on Instagram as well, because I'm really active, super active on Instagram. And that's 5 steps to alignment, and spelled out 5 FIVE.
Awesome. I'm also going to follow you right after this podcast recording, and I'm going to place a link in the show notes of this episode to link to your website and also to Instagram. So I encourage everyone who has listened so far to please follow Ellie on Instagram and visit the website, join the Patreon um, service, and just work with her and see for yourself how this can change your life. Yeah, it's awesome. One question I have for you before I let you go is I would just like to know what is one thing that we could do right now to make everything that we do even more powerful? To make us, to make everything that we do, yeah, more powerful.
Yes, I love this question. So, the one thing that you can do that would make everything you do more powerful is setting an intention. But I want to share with you a very specific way
Mm,
of setting an intention because this will change your life.
yeah.
So, setting an intention is essentially telling the universe what you want to experience or how you want this to play out, right?
Mm,
And it's accessing the deepest part of your core, your character, and your value and bringing it forward, right? So anytime that I do anything, like even before this podcast, even before my conversation with you, I asked
mm,
myself these three things to set an intention. So I asked, what is my intention for what I'm about to do? This is you telling the universe the result or outcome that you would want,
mm,
right? What do I want to feel when it's over? Because when you can connect to the emotion, like, the heart is 5,000 times more powerful electromagnetically than the brain. So if you're
yeah.
thinking about it, it's a fraction of what it could be, as though if you felt it, right? Feeling it is more powerful. So how do I want to feel when it's over? And I connect to whatever that emotion is, right? A sense of achievement, being able to connect with the host, feel like I actually made an impact, all of those things. And then the last question I ask myself, if there's another party involved, is how do I want them to feel when it's over? I want
Mm,
them to feel, usually with clients, it's like I want them to feel held, nurtured, seen, loved,
yeah.
right? I want them to feel that sense of breakthrough and transformation. So and this goes not just for work. Like I do this when I'm cooking, I do this when I have to reset during the day and I'm having a bad day. I do this for everything. I did this when I got my hair done a few weeks ago. What is my
I love that.
intention? To fully embody the highest and best version of myself. So it's like for every single thing in our life, if the one thing that you can do to make everything you do more powerful is set that intention and make sure that you're anchoring the emotion that you want to feel at the end so that you bring that in when you're creating, when you're doing things, when you're living life.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. And those are great intentions too. Setting intentions in everything that you do, yeah, it's very important. And also us even to make everything we do much more powerful. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Haley. I really enjoyed speaking with you. I learned so much from you about your own personal experiences, talking about connecting with the creator and talking about what to do in order to get rid of fear, stagnation, and all of that. So it's really insightful for me. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.